Nico some food, and we're gonna get our dinner. Yay! You know, if everyone ate like a diabetic, we'd be a much healthier nation. Out into the sun again. Oh well. But, we seem to get inundated with different foods all the time, and foods that we shouldn't have. Now, I did a whole thing on eating, but how do you say no? It's hard when a lot of times, you go to the grocery store and you want to get something to drink. Everyone says, oh, the diet pops are terrible. Well, if the diet pops are so terrible, drink water. It's all a matter of choice. Now, as diabetics, anything different or they have to change the recipe for sugar-free. It used to be that the price, sorry, there I can see it, would be increased. That's not such the case anymore. There are more people now who are on a diet craze, and there is so much choice now. There's the pop. You can get the little, whatever they're called, juice, like Kool-Aid, and they come in little squirt bottles, and you squirt how much you want, and then you eat it. It's all good. Now, like I said, I wasn't being mean, but anything that you get energy from has carbs, and that's what you have to count, because it increases the amount of insulin you need. Now, you can't just say, oh, well, I'm not going to have any carbs, because your body needs carbs. Carbs are always good. Everyone enjoys carbs. Whether we can have them all the time is a different story. Just got out of the grocery store and took a look around. Of course, they don't allow photography in there, but I went with the Coke Zero. That's all they really had. Everything is gained to be so expensive, and the biggest thing is people forget that we are people. Diabetics are people. And I've said this before, people judge us. Oh, you can't have that, and oh, you're not allowed that. So, you know what? We didn't really get anything. But sometimes, with all the alternatives out there, sugar stuff is sometimes the best. You have to count the carbs, but they still end up to be the best. So, what are some of the things you do? So, when you go out shopping, take a look at, yes, you're going to have to read the labels. You're going to have to read the labels of prepared foods and see how many carbs are in it and how many fibers in it, and make your decision from there. Personally, sometimes I go for the sugar types, and I will have a Coke just for the sake of having a Coke, and figure out the carbs and take extra insulin. Now, that's pretty well a good thing with a type 1. Type 2s, they sometimes play by different rules. Diet doesn't always mean the best. Diet means they could cut back on sugar, could cut back on the fat, so you never really know what you're getting. If I have a dessert, I'd go pretty much for the real thing. I think our body's kind of like the real thing, rather than the fat-laced stuff, which isn't good for any of us. But when you get a sweet tooth, count the carbs. If you make your own soup at home, you'd count the carbs. So if you're going out to someone's house and they're having a meal and they bring out this fancy dessert, have a piece. But don't do it all the time. That's been my motto. Now, if your doctor has said something else, then follow his or her instructions. I'm just saying what has worked for me the best, and you can take the information and go from there. Life is so much easier now. There are so much more selections. I mean, you could go for yogurt with fruit, and that may solve your sweet tooth. So we need to take care of our bodies. When I started, there were 3 basic things you could have. There was the chocolate, what they were calling the chocolate substitute, and that was carob. And most people decided that carob was terrible. and to me, it was bitter, no taste to it after. It was a sharp, bitter taste the minute you bit into it. And anything that you made from it, you got the same taste. I don't see where carob is being used so much today. So, there was Tab. Tab was the only drink we could really have. And of course, all these companies started getting on the bandwagon, and then it was in Canada they banned saccharin. So anytime we went across the border as kids, sometimes we went just to load up on diet drinks, and we snuck them across the border. There was xylitol and all those things, and they didn't. The Canadian pops sucked. And there was good old Trident gum. That was basically your treat that you could use. And then the CDA started putting recipes in their diabetes dialogue book or magazine, and things started to take off from there. Eventually, Trident Mints came along, and then other little treats started popping up. So today there is an awful lot of choices. Just count your carbs and behave. If you go offline and have a treat one day, great. Next day, get back on the wagon, as much as we like to say. Anyway, that's it for today. Have a great day. Bye now.